In 3, 2, 1. What's up, guys, and welcome to the TFN World Championship Bronze matches. You are now watching this as we upload our games to YouTube. We didn't quite have time to fit these into our Sunday night live cast, where we casted our semis and finals games, which eventually saw the winner of our TFN World Championship being Aimstrong, with the second place player being Sefa. So Aimstrong won himself our $1,000 top cash prize. But while those two guys were playing, there were another couple of very important matches as well, because there was of course a third prize. To win the $100 third prize, two very strong Code 2 players were battling it out, and those players are Marcus and Symbiosis, and they were playing on Kolodny Firma Summer, just like the finalists. So those are the games that we're going to be bringing you today, starting with Game 1.
Yep, and I will be following Symbiosis as he takes on Soviets in the first matchup. He was top in the bracket in the bronze match, so he starts off as Soviets, and Marcus will be playing the Axis side of things this time. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Two great players that got knocked out by two even greater players, I guess, Aimstrong and Sefa. So who's going to win this matchup? I have actually no clue whatsoever yet. So it's going to be interesting to see if Marcus can bring some nice Axis playstyle here to actually try and counter the Soviets, which, as we know, in the finals were 5-0 victory.
Yes, it was a very strong Soviet performance, so I guess we'll have to see who emerges victorious here, whether it's another 3 Soviet victories, because this is of course a best of 3, or whether we see any kind of German might brought to the fore.
Yeah, so hopefully.
If we're at the 5-second mark, let's be unpausing in 3, 2, 1, unpause. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, it's been a great tournament, I have to say. Would you agree, Tommy? Hosting this, all the great players. We even have Peter, the Relic Dev, come on and co-comment with us for the entire Sunday when we did the semis and the finals. Yeah, great guy. He gave a lot of tips. I've been getting comments the entire week since we stopped, because now today for us it's Wednesday, but when these are actually uploaded on YouTube, it could be any day. But I've been getting comments basically every single day about, oh, Peter gave so many good advices. He knows what he's doing, and yada yada yada. He knows all the unit stats, etc., 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 etc. It's like we talked with him during the live cast about that, and it's his job. You got to know all these stats and stuff, But it's still fairly impressive because everybody that has played VCO, they went to the co stats pages and they just crunch numbers. If they were very, very serious about the game, but it's not that easy memorizing all of those stats.
No, and what's even more impressive is that he does have the the micro skills to boot as well. He's not speaking totally sort of from no experience, and it was weird because when Seth and I went to Vancouver the other week and we got a chance to play these bounce devs, we were thinking, we're gonna crush them. This is gonna be great. The community guys versus the bounce guys, yeah. But then we went in there, and then Seth proceeded to lose to him in a 1v1. Although that was on an untested map. It wasn't on the tried and tested tournament Kolodny Firma. And then myself and Sefa teamed up against two of the bounce devs, Peter and Piero. And again lost. So it was highly embarrassing for the community guys. But then again, we justified it to ourselves by saying, well, they've been playing this game for whatever 2 years since the pre alpha. So but yeah, I mean it's very comforting to know I've never been so happy to lose to anyone, because you really do feel like the balance is in a very good way when it's in these guys' hands. Of course, the balance isn't perfect right now. I don't think anyone was expecting it even to be even nearly perfect. And we did see players exploiting everything that they could. So we did see quite a lot of those M3 Flamer clown cars stuff in our final tournaments. But that's what tournaments are made for. They are made for showing off what the most powerful strategies are. And I've been told by the balance devs that the tournament is going to be very useful in structuring the balance changes over the next few weeks and months. So yeah, it did a lot of good.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to him as well. I talked to Peter a little bit on Steam after the live cast on Sunday with the semis and the finals. You know, he was very positive about the tournament and the replays. And I believe he got sent all of the replays from the tournament, all of the higher rounds at least, because, you know, we did initially go in with 128 players. That's a lot of matches, you know, considering most games, especially in the early day one and day two, were 2-0 victories, because, you know, just some players are just better than other players, and then they will win both of their matches and you go on. But at the same time, he said that, you know, they're gonna harvest all of these replays and analyze them and get all the stats and see, you know, the victory percentages of either faction, etc., using what, this and that, etc., you know, X, Y equals Z. And, you know, that's extremely positive for me.
Yeah, it does bode very well, and yeah, and you know, I think the game that we see in a few months' time will be a very different game from the one that we see now, and, you know, the changes that they're going to make over that time will be very positive.
Yeah, very strong opening for Marcus locking down this north, but Symbiosis is pretty smart, sneaking around and taking the cutoff.
Yeah,
very simple, very easy, and extremely effective.
Yep, it's knocked down Marcus's munitions and fuel income to a pretty pitiful +6 and +4. It's going to take him a few more seconds to actually regain that, but when he does, he's going to have quite a healthy resource income.
Yeah, he's now
all of the north, +32 basically. Munitions and +20 fuel.
Yeah, Symbiosis a little bit ahead. He's actually not capped one of the strategic points, the southern one, just outside of his base. But apart from that, he has the whole south part of the map and also parts of the middle. You know, he even has the strategic point outside of Marcus's base. So his income is fairly strong, 42 munitions and 26 fuel every minute. So he's going to be able to upgun this, or get flamers on his secondary engineer. He went 3 conscripts and 1 combat engineer. And then, you know, obviously including the starting combat engineer as well. He's got 1 flamethrower upgraded, but he only needs half a minute to upgrade the second one. So we could be seeing what we saw a lot of the tournament. M3s, flamers, guards, for example. He hasn't hit 1 CP yet, so he can't actually call on guards as they require 1 CP to unlock. But, you know, he's got that M3 with the flamer in it so far, and he's going to be able to combat these forces from Marcus right now. So Marcus needs to, I think, the best counter I found, especially to the first M3 half-track, is basically just keep all of your units together. Don't get singled out. If you get singled out, you get killed.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, because, you know, the games where we have seen the Germans be able to put up a decent fight early on, it's because they didn't spread out their units, because that is the absolute worst thing you can do against the M3. The M3 finds a single lone Grenadier or a single lone MG, it's gonna win. There's nothing you can do about it. You can pop off a Faust, but you're going to lose, and it's just going to cost you munitions. Although I am slightly intrigued by Marcus's choice to spend his early munitions not on a Flamer, not on a Panzerfaust, but on a light LMG for his Grenadiers.
Well, he might have not expected the M3. Maybe he thought that Symbiosis would throw him off and not use the tried and tested M3 rush. But yeah, obviously he got tricked, and we do have a conscript squad on retreat now. That LMG for 60 munitions on one of those 2 Grand Squads might prove to be extremely worth it while he polishes off 1 conscript squad. So Symbiosis' army now looks fairly small, because, you know, he spent 200 manpower to actually build his tier 1 building, and then you know, another 80 manpower for the scout car. And he bought an additional combat engineer. He does have a flamethrower on that as well now, so it's got some more combat efficiency. But apart from that, Symbiosis' army is small. 2 conscripts, 2 combat engineers, and 1 M3.
Just saw a mine go off here, killing one of the MG crew members from Marcus down here in the south. But you want to know what's interesting? This game was obviously just played after Marcus was knocked out of his semi-final bracket by Aimstrong, and the build that he's gone for is very, very similar to the build that he was beaten by Aimstrong. He's gone for a very heavy Grenadier build with 2 MGs. Instead of, it's essentially the same build, except instead of getting a 3rd MG, he's gone for an extra Grenadier. So we've actually got a total of 5 Grenadiers, 2 armed with LMGs, and then another 2 MGs on top of that. So it's an enormous tier 1 from Marcus, and a very powerful opening indeed. It's actually allowed him to secure almost more than 50% of the map, which for a German player this early on is very, very good indeed.
Yeah, I think the main problem, or the main cause of this happening is because Symbiosis went for only 3 conscripts, lost 1 on retreat even, which is, you know, very harmful to his army composition. So he doesn't really actually have that much capping power. He's called on a guard squad and a 120mm mortar now as well. But, you know, his army is still fairly small compared to this huge tier 1. And with only one M3 on the field, it can't really combat all of these Grens. If he had 2 or 3, or, you know, 2 with flamers in them and 1 with guards in them, for example, he could probably combat all of these tier 1 units from Marcus, but right now with only 1, he can't. There's too many Grens.
I think this is very much a case of, you know, this is where the Vico comparisons are very apt, because you saw this similar situation could develop in Vico, where a very strong opening from the Wehrmacht with a huge tier 1 would essentially, it would be able to beat, it would just beat rifles, and, you know, Jeeps and rifles could do nothing against loads of MGs and loads of Volks and snipers and, you know, whatever else you can chuck at them. They just don't have the firepower. But the thing is, the Soviets, like the Americans, have the ability to create a very diverse army, just, you know, slightly slower than the Germans, but when they do get it, it's very powerful. And, you know, they've got those 2-man Soviet sniper teams, they've got the 120mm mortar, which Symbiosis is now using. So they do have all those tools at their disposal, but it looks like we could see another unit go down here. One engineer squad running the gauntlet.
Oh, he lost the flamer upgrade that exploded on retreat, so he lost 60 munitions from the flamer on that combat engineer, so it's going to have to be re-upgraded to equip him with a flamethrower again. But right now, he's still in possession of, you know, 1/4 of the map in the south here, but he's losing it over and over again, and he's kind of base pinned actually. This building now almost going to go down due to that 120mm.
Whoa!
There it goes, yeah. That's what I was waiting for that building to collapse. So that's 1 MG down, small victory, but the main thing is this will now actually stop the base pin.
Yeah, it could have been avoided there really by Marcus. I mean, it was firing for a good couple of minutes there before he decided to try and vacate, at which point, of course, it was too late. You see those MG crewmen just died trying to bail out the building. But, I mean, you're right, you know, all this time, Marcus has been doing a good job of capping down in the south and north as well. Of course, you know, this is Symbiosis. This is a guy who I'm sure he just loves losing territory because he seems to love the psychological advantage it gives him of appearing to be the underdog. But and oh my God, that was the biggest rifle nade I've ever seen.
Nice rifle nade from that LMG equipped Gwen, and that combined with a little bit of damage on
like
the
full health squad.
Too. Yeah, almost, at least. Here comes the M3 now. It has guards in it, so its the infantry capabilities are not massive, but it's still able to polish off 1 of the 3 remaining Grens on that squad and force off the other 2. And he's going to start capping both in the north here. He's got an LMG Gren to fight at the munitions point in the north, but nothing down in the south. So this M3 with the guard squad is easily going to be able to cap up here. It's going to take him a little while, but it looks like he might have a small in to getting back into this game, because tier 3 is up in Marcus's base. I'm not exactly sure if he's building that P4 yet, which I'm expecting to see, but we have tier 4 up for Symbiosis as well. He needs a little bit more fuel, but as long as he caps this northern fuel, which he won't due to a rifle nade going off and forcing that conscript squad to retreat, I think Symbiosis is being like Symbiosis usually plays. Very conservative, retreats rather than taking, you know, 2 casualties from a rifle nade, for example. If he micros a little bit away from the AoE splash, you know, he'd rather retreat, give the territory away, come back in strength, take it back, basically.
That is what he's been doing all game long, of course.
Flamer crit in the center again.
Wow, that was pretty nuts. They just exploded in flame. Of course, there is a limit to how much you can tactically retreat. There is now a P4 on the way, so Marcus is going to be looking to diversify a little bit and bring a good, solid unit to the field. But of course, if Symbiosis has T4, then an Su-85 could shut that down very quickly.
3 fuel is all he needs. He's getting enough fuel from just having the strategic points. He doesn't have the northern or the southern fuel point, but it is going to be enough. Tier 4 is completed. He needs 1 fuel to start constructing that Su-85, and I do believe that will be his first choice. He must be expecting some form of a tank from Marcus right now, sitting on both of the fuels on the map for quite a long time while he had Symbiosis in that base pin. So yeah, this Su-85 is going to basically save him the game, because without that he would lose now.
Yep, I mean, here is the P4 looking very sexy with that lovely summer skin. It's going to hit the field and probably have a maybe half a minute, maybe even just less.
Halfway done on the Su-85.
Yeah, it's going to have a few seconds of impunity where it's uncounted. Symbiosis naturally retreating off the field. Doesn't want to lose too much in this little window that the P4 has of being totally uncounted. But as soon as that Su-85 lands on the field, I don't know. Marcus could play this a little too aggressive even. If he gets 18-aided and then an Su-85 rolls up, he could be in danger. That's a sprint coming forward now that Ura ability to use. That's got to be trying for an 18-aid.
18-aid is upgraded. He was most likely expecting some form of tier 2.
Whoa, look at that baseball throw.
Long-range 18-aids. I believe I heard from Peter, was it, that it's being looked into?
Yeah, so I think it's a point of contention, definitely. But here comes the Su-85 now, driving up very close range, and look at the enormous damage it does to that P4.
Yeah, to unvetted P4s, they're just fodder to an Su-85, like seriously. But when they start hitting Vet 2, especially with all the defensive buffs that gives, you know, one Su-85 is not going to be enough. I had a game where I played against one of the streamers called Cataclaw, and he basically had me in the beginning. You know, he played with snipers, he had double snipers on the field. I went tier 2, Pigwens, not a good ID, etc., etc. I was kinda base pinned, but I managed to break out because I got a heroic P4, and when he hit Vet 2, it was basically over, because I could solo Su-85s, and he never had two of them on the field at the same time. And combined with the Blitzkrieg ability that you get at Vet 1, those P4s can get around an Su-85 no problem.
Oh boy, that does sound pretty dangerous.
Yeah, it was brutal.
So maybe if you can just sort of keep your P4s alive, farm a little bit of veterancy on them with some cheap conscripts, then eventually, you know, get them at Vet 2, then they can tangle with the conscripts, and there goes a whole Grenadier squad. Body parts went flying there, thanks to a nice shell from the 120mm mortar.
Yeah, and as the last lone guy on the Grand Squad actually got popped by that Su-85. It doesn't hit infantry a lot, but when it does, it completely obliterates them. MG is setting up. There is a guard squad. He's most likely to go in for the flank. He's got enough munitions for a grenade. There's the nade. Instant pack up from Marcus. Very nice, but the grenade is well placed. Kills one guy, does quite a lot of health damage, but he's forced to retreat.
Gotta watch out for that 120mm as well.
Now a Stug out for Marcus. Interesting.
A Stug, interesting. So, I mean, Stug versus Su-85, when they're both unvetted like this, I tend to find the Su-85 sort of rip shit up, really. I mean, it tends to kill the Stug in about 3 hits. You throw an 18-aids on top of that, and it's really a death wish for the Stug. But that is what Marcus has gone for.
Yeah, button on guards as well. It's extremely hard to win with Stugs now, I find, especially as most Soviet players goes for the Su-85s from the tier 4 building. If you're playing against a player that goes tier 3 with T-34s, oh yeah, that Stug is going to rip shit up. No problem whatsoever at those squishy T-34s. But against an Su-85, it's not going to have much of a fun time.
I guess it's one of those units where, again, like Stugs in Vico, alone, they tend to be pretty useless, especially against tank destroyers. But you get a few of them, you know, you reach critical mass of Stugs, you know, you get more than 3, and then you're laughing, you know, then you can take on Su-85s, take on T-34s, take on infantry, tanks, whatever you want.
But they're not that cheap any longer. The Stugs were increased in price, especially from the initial implementation.
Now, because they do have a lot more range, and they're much more like a dedicated tank destroyer than a sort of a poor man's main battle tank that they used to be.
Yeah, it's more of a tank destroyer in Company of Heroes 2 than an assault gun that takes on a little bit of everything. It's just basically there to counter, you know, it's super good against T-34s, for example. T-70s, T-34s, you know, T-70s being extremely agile, it's hard to get a shot off, but if you get a hit off from your Stug on a T-70, I think it 2 hits a T-70, basically. And, you know, that it has quite a high rate of fire as well.
Yes, and that's one of the things that was toned down originally. If you go back and watch some of our old casts on our YouTube channel,
fire Stugs.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Stugs take out like IS-2s and stuff like that. It was crazy. They used to just go boom, boom, boom. It's like a machine gun. but they did tone that down in the Great Purge that happened.
Great Vehicle Purge.
Yeah, the Great Vehicle Purge, where they totally redid all the vehicles a few patches ago, a few weeks ago, while it was still in beta.
Lots of price changes, lots of stat changes as well. We have a sniper out now from Symbiosis, so his army is growing. The second sniper now hitting the field, which will be a problem for Marcus's infantry. As, you know, most of the German infantry squads are 4 men, and, you know, with 2 snipers, they get 1 shot each, and then that forces the squad to retreat. Otherwise, it, you know, the threat of being completely knocked out due to this, you know, if the snipers shoot 1 shot extra, that's enough to polish off an entire squad. So, yeah, with 2 snipers out now, I see, and with the backup of an Su-85, he should be able to get some map control back, because right now, he's not sitting on much. Middle VP, he's losing the munitions in the south, and there's an MG target as well.
Grenadier executed. Look at those 2 guys. They're not even moving. Double headshots there, and that was a G43 squad too.
I think he was expecting it to be 1 sniper, and he could go up there and get 1 LMG burst off, for example, but yeah, that didn't work.
No, it did not, and this is bad timing for Marcus, who has just started building P-Grens out of his newly constructed Tier 2 building. It's very tough. He did backtech, yeah. He went Tier 1, Tier 3, and then back to Tier 2 again. And now he has actually chosen to get himself a Axis sniper. So he's going to go down the route that was not recommended by Peter when we asked him about it. You know, where we said, you know, how do you counter this combination of Su-85s and snipers? And he said artillery. Artillery was what he advocated, because, you know, you are facing a squad that's 2 times your size, and he said there is one way of counter sniping though. You need to be in green cover so that you can fire particularly quickly. And
recloak.
And recloak particularly quickly, yeah, and then you can get a double shot sort of thing going off on the Soviet sniper, but it's very, very, very tricky to pull off, and it's not something I think that is really being used commonly in competitive play right now. It might be one of those things, you know, one of those micro tricks that people just get really good at doing over time.
Eventually, yeah, when you play enough with the German sniper.
Yeah, right now it tends to be that, well, yeah, very few people play with the German sniper because they sort of think, oh, it's 1 man versus 2 man, you know, why would I ever get a German sniper? But, you know, Peter has said, you know, in our balance test games, they've actually proven to be kind of, you know, kind of powerful, you know, when they're used correctly, not as units to counter snipe, but...
Grenade tennis at the Saudi munitions point. I'm not sure if you catch that. Rifle grenade from a G43 equipped Grenadier squad against the Guard squad grenade. And basically both squads are both squads forced to retreat after taking some flag from both those grenades. But we did have the active sniper up in the north, found out by a combat engineer, and he's retreating now. The flame burst was not enough to get a nice crit on him, and we do have a substantial Axis force now moving up in the north as well, and the 2, you know, instant response from Symbiosis. Both of the female sniper teams moving up north.
From Marcus, he is opting to go for an Oswin now as his next unit, so he's not going to invest further into AT. In fact, his only AT is this single Stug. That's literally it, but he is getting an Oswin.
Yeah, second Su-85 out from Symbiosis now, so an Oswin, I don't know. He can have 1 SU in the north, 1 in the south, for example, and lock that down versus the Oswin is not going to be able to take out an Su-85 with ease. I think if it gets on the rear armor especially, you can get some hits in there and do some damage. But it takes quite a long time, and, you know, compared to the Su-85, which will do a tremendous amount of damage to the Stug, P4, and Ostwind, which are all basically
the
medium.
Whole Tier 3 really is counted quite efficiently by the Su-85.
Yeah, it's quite funny on the community forums at code2.org. Someone made some fan art, and there's actually a picture of the Su-85 asking for a counter.
Yeah, that fan art was brilliant. We'll have to leave a link to that or something in the comment in the
YouTube,
description, because they were just absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant.
They were the best fan art for COH I've ever seen. Not that there has been a whole lot of fan art for COH, mind you, but they were pretty special.
Here comes the Oswin now, finds out the 2 snipers. Both teams actually lose 1 man each, but they are retreating. Oswin were trying to focus fire, did not work, and the conscripts are moving in, which is forcing the Oswin back due to the fear of being AT-naded. But right now it looks like, I don't know, Marcus might have a little bit of an in back into this game. He's moving now south as well with P-Gren and MG against some guards trying to cap the fuel there. But these Su-85s are the main problem for Marcus now. What is he going to do to counter these? He's got literally nothing. He needs more than one Stug. That's easy to say against one Su-85 even. Against two? Yeah, good luck.
One of the most sort of popular counters has been sort of suggested by a lot of players is it's the fixed position Pack 43, I believe, which is
oh yeah,
it's an emplacement a bit like the 88 from Vico, sort of a fixed gun thing. But yeah, and we saw what happens when an Oswin gets on the bad side of a couple of Su-85s. He did get a couple of nice hits, yeah, and look at that, the stun goes down in very quick succession as well. Smashes into a building, takes it down, in fact. Su-85s, they are fat and happy, having gorged themselves on a bit of Axis armor. And that is, in a couple of seconds, that's all of Marcus's sort of shock units gone. He's back down to his tier 1.
I see most of his army in the base.
Yeah, it is mostly back in the base, healing up here. He's got his sniper. In fact, his entire army is tier 1 or below, besides a single 2-man Panzer Grenadier squad, which I'm sure is just begging to get double counter-sniped. So it's really not looking too good for Marcus at this point.
No, it's looking quite grim. He had, you know, major map dominance in the early game with that massive tier 1, and the M3 basically didn't even put a dent in his army whatsoever. It just never gotten in anywhere. It never found someone to pick on, a lone squad, etc., because Marcus put all of his troops together to protect each other from getting singled out by the M3. So, you know, early game, major Axis dominance, and then just Soviet combined arms from Symbiosis and not panicking out for losing map control in the initial stages of the game. This is what's bringing him back right now.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of really great breakout units. In particular, I think the first one he had was that 120mm mortar. Things really began to turn around when he destroyed that building and killed the MG along with it, and decrews another MG with a huge hit from that 120mm mortar.
Ouch.
That mortar is really proving its worth this game.
Vet2, 24 kills right now on that 120mm mortar. That's not bad.
That is not bad at all.
Wow. I think he actually has more kills than the snipers have combined. The snipers have 17 kills combined. That mortar has 24.
That's pretty nuts.
All this time I thought the snipers are basically doing all the work right now, but yeah, I guess not. Oh no, the Axis sniper took a shot on the country squad. I believe he tried to counter-snipe one of the 2-man sniper teams, but they recloaked in time and he never got a shot off. Here comes the P4 now, but there's 2 SUs, one being repaired after getting fausted. The second one at Bet1 already. He's going to engage this P4, and nice sniper flare to give some extended line of sight for that SU. P4 hiding behind the hedge in the center. Here's some P-grams with Shreks, so that's a decent counter to Su-85s I found actually, because they do penetrate the front quite often, and you know, basically their accuracy is really good. It generally hits maybe 75% of the time, it feels like.
Yeah, they do tend to be quite strong. I think most players, they're just kind of reserved about upgrading their PGs because they need those PG MP44s to fight the infantry and stuff like that. So, you know, it is a trade-off because you are forced to get 2 Shreks. You don't have the option to get 1. You do go sort of all or nothing when you get those Shreks. So it is a case of whether you want dedicated AT or dedicated anti-infantry.
Initially, it was like that, one Shrek.
It was initially, yeah.
Upgrade.
You could go 1 at a time.
Oh no! In the building, he gets out.
Whoa.
The first sniper actually missed and got half his crew killed by the Axis sniper.
Well, that's right, because you know when you try and counter snipe against a building, you've only got a 50% chance of actually hitting. So
that's really rolling the dice right there for Marcus.
It's very much rolling the dice. I mean, it's extremely risky, but I guess you know Marcus is sort of in the position where he needs to take a few risks. Bearing in mind these guys are playing still for $100. This isn't just a glory game. This is still a money game, although just not quite the kind of money that the finalists were playing for.
It's still for the honor and glory of winning the 3rd place in the first UH2 tournament.
Well, of course there is that as well.
Let's see here, Axis Sniper opens up on one of the combat engineers. The Soviet Sniper is right there, but the Axis Sniper recloaks very quickly. He's forced to retreat.
He retreats, he misses. Wow. Soviet Sniper missed him on retreat there, that was fortunate.
And the Grenadiers are forced to retreat due to double combat engineer flamers plus Soviet Sniper. P4 is fully repaired again, trying to move out. That 120mm mortar is just constantly barraging all over the map, all over the place, and he can't really do much about it. P4 is moving down south here with some Pio sweepers as well, which is a good upgrade because I've seen Symbiosis place a few mines here and there the past couple of minutes actually.
These guards are forced away here by this fresh P4. Not really sure about the about building P4s at this point in the game though. Not quite sure whether that's the wisest decision when taking on SU-85s.
There's a pack now. Pack is a pretty good counter as well, but the problem is obviously the double sniper teams.
Oh boy, those SU-85s, they can smell blood. They're out for this P4.
He's gonna get away quite easily, driving behind that hedge. Very nicely microed from Marcus, most likely using that reverse function, reverse ability. But look at this, Symbiosis up in the north, there's a mine there, there's one in the center. All of basically the choke points on this map are now mined off. P4 is getting chewed up by these SUs. The pack sets up, gets a nice hit on the Vet 2 SU-85 now. But the P4 can't go in there, and he is still gonna be having a problem against the sniper. The sniper's just down south. Looks like the P4 might go looking for him, I'm not sure. Or is he going for a flank? I don't know. What's he doing?
He pops around the corner, but of course he can't see the Soviet snipers as they're in cover and cloaked. All he can see is that there are snipers around there because he can see it's
Where's
still
the cover?
capping.
Run him over. Oh, Symbiosis is not going to chance that actually. Oh, it might be a bait for the P4 to pursue the snipers after seeing them run away to bait him into the SU-85, which was lined up in on that road.
It could have been. He was waiting, and he did get a shot off, but he actually missed. And now Symbiosis is coming down the street with his DP armed guards here. Probably going to be able to decrew this pack with a bit of focus fire. Nice grenade, does a little bit of damage, although mostly to the guards. Yeah, mainly to themselves. Never too great for your health, but they do manage to decrew that pack.
He's trying to get this strategic point and just keep Marcus in the base, maybe get line of sight on that P4, get rid of the pack crew so his SU-85s can move around freely again. But there are still strikes on that now Vet 2 P-Grand squad out from Marcus, so he's going to be able to force the SUs out of the way as there is no backup right now. The snipers are moving back onto the field from Symbiosis. But apart from that, not much backup because both of the flamers are down south, now planting more mines. I'm loving the mine usage from Symbiosis, something I miss dearly from Vico.
It did actually force Marcus to get those sweepers a little while ago, and I just saw the Axis Sniper miss these engineers twice in a row. That was kind of unfortunate. No, wait, no, was that the sniper?
G43.
No, it was G43s. Yeah, yep. Sorry.
The sniper is in Marcus' base.
Sniper,
17 kills. That's not too bad, considering...
He's been doing all right.
Yeah. I think the Soviet snipers have 24 now, but there's 2, so that's 720 manpower compared to 360 for Hans, Marcus's sniper. So he's not doing that bad, considering apparently it's super easy to get counter-sniped, but obviously not if you take care of your sniper.
Yeah, he's been using it in areas where the Soviet snipers aren't. He hasn't really been sort of desperately trying to hunt out for the counter snipe. He's just been using it to drain the manpower.
He tried once or so, but apart from that, not that much. 2 P4s out now from Marcus, actually. Interesting.
Yeah, and he's now got himself a half-track coming out. That's his 3rd unit.
Forward reinforcements, maybe. Flammenwerfer is obviously my first thought, but I'm not exactly sure what that's going to do against SU-85s. Without veterancy, the Flammenwerfer against 2 SU-85s will most likely get chewed up in a few seconds. And that's going to be, a wasted unit.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because that is precisely what Marcus is doing. He is upgrading with that 120mm Flammenwerfer. So I'm not quite sure about why he's doing that. Maybe it's as a kind of hardcore guards counter. But yeah, SU-85s, they nab one of the P4s there in brutal quick fashion.
Yeah, it actually hit one of Symbiosis' mines up there guarding that northern VP. And the P4 was unlucky enough to go on the road and was the one that got hit. But here comes the G2485
double call-in. This is always brutal.
Sure, especially with the pack destroyed. not even recrewable. This P4 looks worse for wear. There are the Shreks. He kills one of the T-34s, but that P4 is toasted. It's out of control in excruciatingly slow fashion. It takes so long when it has a destroyed engine.
Well, one of the T-34s did go down, of course, but it doesn't really seem to matter at this point as the P4 went down.
2 of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean,
they're
both.
SU,
One down to the SUs and one down to the P4s. So the SUs, they're just chilling, sticking out of the fight. Marcus is probably going to try and hunt this T-34 down, but I would be surprised if he does actually manage to kill it. And look at this. Meanwhile, we've got really aggressive capping movement from Symbiosis. He's capping with his snipers. All the way down
Marcus
to the south.
is busy in the north. He's fighting over this northern VP to keep the drain away from being a triple cap. So, you know, he's free to cap around all the south now with his snipers because there's basically no German infantry tank vehicle whatsoever down in the south.
We have this Vet 1 Axis sniper ability, the incendiary round, the stun round used on one of the squads there.
I think it killed 3 guys, two or 3.
Yeah, well, it certainly stunned them.
Yeah.
Now he's opening up on those guards, always a prime target, and there we go, Flammenwerfer, before he even gets a chance to be used, it goes down there to the SU-5s, as you predicted.
Yeah, it didn't even have a chance to fire once with his 120 munitions upgrade, the Flammenwerfer on that Axis half-track. Right now, it looks like Marcus's army can't be that big, and Symbiosis' army is 2 Vet 3 conscripts, the remaining ones after he lost one in the initial stages of the game. 2 snipers, 2 combat engineers with flamers, the guard squad at Vet 2 as well. He's got 1 of the T-34-85 still alive, and the 2 SUs both with veterancy now, Vet 1 and Vet 2, moving out for the Axis base. He's either going to go for like a base annihilation now. He's just tired of waiting.
He's definitely playing aggressive. He's spying out an opportunity for himself. Marcus is not building any more tanks. He has now switched tactics. He is going for a pack, but I do get
getting destroyed.
Distinct impression that it's all a little bit too little, too late.
Quite high veterancy levels on his Grenadiers, which are still alive. Vet 3, but they can't really do much against tanks apart from
even these SU-85 is sniping them.
Marcus desperately trying to repair the Tier 2 building in his base. Oh, it's so low health. Is he gonna get it with the SU before the pack pops out? I guess no pack for Marcus then.
Doesn't look that way. Well, no, he did manage to squeeze it out. He does still have a pack there, which is now opening up with, but this is definitely the death throes for the German player Marcus. But on the other hand, you got to look at the number of VPs that he drained off Symbiosis, brought him down to 262. Not a mean feat at all, especially with the current state of factional balance. To actually bring your opponent down this far does give you the edge when it comes to a game 3, when you got to decide who is going to take what faction.
Kind of reminds me of game 3 between Sefa and Aimstrong, where Aimstrong managed to drain Sefa of a lot of VPs, even when playing as the Axis side. So
well, that game he definitely could have won. You know, with a few slightly better build decisions, he probably could have won that game.
Close.
And that would have been
very close.
That would have been the first and only German victory in the semi-finals. So.
Oh, we did have a Vet 3 Grenadier squad go down. Right now, Marcus is just basically trying to hold on to his base sector, which is getting bombarded by a Katyusha now as well.
Oh boy. It's all go here for Marcus. His German sniper is still desperately sticking around. He actually managed to snipe out he actually counter-snipes one of the Soviet snipers. That's not a bad achievement, but quickly gets sniped himself by SU-85s. So
one Soviet sniper remains at Vet 2 with 13 kills. That's going to be enough to decrew this pack so the tank can just move into the base.
Yeah, this game is definitely over for Marcus, unfortunately. He did a valiant effort, especially early on. He had quite a nice build there. Unfortunately, these SU-85s and snipers, they just came back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, not enough from Marcus. Strong initial base pin. I like that quite a lot. You know, he really took advantage of his massive tier 1 that he went for. Just pushed the Soviet player back into the base. Symbiosis was basically base pinned as he went for 3 conscripts, another combat engineer, especially as he didn't have munitions to upgrade both of his combat engineers. with flamethrowers, they're quite lackluster when it comes to fighting. You know, their anti-infantry capabilities without flamethrowers are just like meh, whatever. You know, when you're fighting Grants, especially with LMGs, there's just no way.
No, no, definitely not. I mean, it was you know, it was a good start out there. Maybe just needed a slightly different, you know, transition as you went into the mid game. Who knows?
Who knows?
This patch probably won't be around for long enough for us to actually experiment. Presumably, a lot of the elements of the Soviets are probably going to get nerfed, and a few elements of the Germans are probably going to be buffed. I don't think I'm saying anything too godlike there in terms of my prophesying. But thanks guys for watching this game 1 of the bronze matches. Don't forget to go and check out our finals replays as well. And for those of you watching the livecast, we're going to be back with game 2 of the bronze matches in very shortly.